Hi everyone, my name is Serena. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to do something that I'm totally unprepared for because I just randomly thought of this and I said, you know what, let's just do it. 2 years ago, so in 2019, I'm not sure if it was like March or April. The video, I think it was uploaded in April, but the tweet that I sent, I think it was earlier than that, but anyway, I wrote a tweet on Twitter, obviously, and I asked you, what were some of your favorite books at the time? And a few people answered me, and then in April, I uploaded this video. I think the title was, Have I Read Your Favorite Books? And basically in that video I read the tweets and I told you if I have or have not read those books. And then I said that I was planning on reading those books in the summer. Fast forward 2 years, now we are in 2021. I am ready to rewatch that video and see if I've actually read all of these books. I'm pretty sure I have, because I made an effort to add these books to my personal TBRs. I don't do TBRs anymore unless it's like a readathon, but I do have like a journal page, or you know, on my computer I always prioritize certain books for my monthly TBRs. So I think I have read all of these. Let's just see if I actually have, and let's see my thoughts, if I agree, if they were favorites, if they were 5-star reads, or I don't know if I like them or not. I think my thoughts will not be as precise as in like my wrap-ups, because a few of them I've read 2 years ago, but let's see, let's improvise. No, I've actually uploaded this video in May, the 28th of May, so I think I tweeted out that tweet in April, because I usually don't film right after I tweet something. That's just me. But yes, let's just watch it together. Hey guys, my name is Serena. By the way, I hate watching my older videos. So hopefully I do not cringe as much, because it's 2019, it's not 2016 when I began in September 2016. So hopefully I don't cringe too much, but I don't usually watch my older videos. Basically, this is going to be a 2-part video. In this video, I'm going to read all of your favorite books and see if they interest me, see if I've read them, and eventually putting them on my TBR. And the second part will be me reading some of your favorite books. 2 years later, and, here I am. You know, see if I like them or not. Here I am. Either way, I respect everyone's, you know, tastes in books. Disclaimer, let's go ahead. For the second part. The first person who answered me was the Ellie Effect, and her favorite book is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. And I never heard of this book before, honestly, and I searched it on Goodreads, and it's a fantasy YA, and it's a series. I think it's about a girl who has a type of power, I want to say, and one day her house is burned to the ground and she flees her home with a greatest treasure. I like to think that I've gotten better at explaining books, but yeah, I have read Shadow of the Fox, and I've also read the second and the third book because it is a trilogy. I have completed the whole trilogy, and I have to say I do really like it. It's not a favorite, but it has been, I think, like 4.5 each book, especially the first and the third one. The second one had a little bit of middle book syndrome, but I agree, it was a very good trilogy, and it is inspired by Japanese myths and legends. It's very, very fast-paced and action-packed. If you really like adventure stories, you might really like this one, because I just remember that first book being very fairy tale-like, where there are these people who go on a journey and they have to find the scroll. I remember that there's this character who have to find the scroll, and then there's the other character who is also finding the scroll for another reason, and they are they have these secrets, and I just really enjoyed this one. So I agree, it was a very, very good series, but I don't think it's a favorite. Like, if someone asked me what are some of your favorite series, I don't think I would think about this book. Next, we have Alexandra Rosalie, and she told me a lot of books. I know that this is a difficult question, it is for me, but you know, you can tell me your top 3, your top 5, I don't care. I will decide for the second part one of the books in, you know, your list. Yes, I remember that a few people had sent me like a list, because I completely understand. I cannot say one book is my favorite. So what I did in those tweets, I decided one of those books to read. She told me that her favorite books are Ocean at the End of the Lane, Chocolat, Pillars at the End of the Earth, Harry Potter, and the Wayward Children series. Yes, I have read The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I also have read Harry Potter, but I read them way before this video, and I like Harry Potter, yes. And I am planning on reading The Wayward Children, but for this, I remember deciding The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and I have to reread this one, but I think it might be a favorite. I agree. I still think about this book, and I think that I really need to read it. It's very... I don't know how to explain it. I don't even remember the plot very well, but it's a short book, and it's very yeah, it makes you think. I don't know if it had like magical realism, and I think this might be a favorite upon reread, so I'll let you know. Next, we have Brianna Rangland, and she tells me that her favorite books are The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, and Nevernight by J. Kristoff. Okay. I have read Nevernight by J. Kristoff for this tweet and for a few other tweets, as you will see. I remember that. But I still want to read The Outsiders and Starry Eyes because they seem quite interesting. Nevernight is a trilogy that I completed last year, and the first book, I remember enjoying it more than the other two because it had that School of Assassins vibe, and I really like that. I like when there are training sessions, of course, that they have to be good, because I hate when characters just know how to use their powers or abilities right away, you know. I like to see a good training session and their progress. But I just remember enjoying Nevernight. It had an atmosphere that I really enjoyed. And I did really enjoy God's Grave as well, because there was that gladiator, Roman gladiator vibe. But Dark Dawn was such a disappointment. I actually don't remember much in comparison to Nevernight and God's Grave, and I read it most recently. So, disappointing ending. I don't remember why, but I just remember being disappointed by the ending. My favorite is Nevernight, the first one, but overall, this series isn't a favorite. I can totally see why it would be, but it's not. Plus, J. Kristoff has been very problematic lately with his representation of Asian characters and the anti-Semitism with one of the characters being named after with a Jewish name, from what I've gathered. So next we have Madison's Story, and her favorite books are Air of Fire and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, and The Wrath and the Dawn. Okay. I had already read A Court of Mist and Fury, I'm pretty sure. I decided to read between these three Hair of Fire. Hair of Fire is the third book in the Throne of Glass series. It's the most recent one that I've read. I haven't continued on with the series after Hair of Fire, and I don't know if I will. Because it's just a story that didn't stick with me. I don't remember much, if I have to be honest. So if I will continue on, I might have to refresh my memory. So as you can tell from what I'm saying, it's not a favorite at all. But you know, a lot of people love that series.
Next, Hannah at TX Bibliophile tells me that her favorite series are Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, Weekends with O'Keefe by C.S. Merrill, and The Queen of Atolia by Megan Wallen Turner.
I remember what I read for this. I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and I hated that book. I remember absolutely hating that book. And again, I don't remember a lot about the plot. I think it's supposed to be funny. And I've heard other people say that it is British humor, whatever that means. But it's not my type of funny, you know. And plus it was very sci-fi-ish, scientific. There is a type of sci-fi that I like. I don't even know how to explain it. But I do not tend to read a lot of sci-fi. When I do, there are certain types of sci-fis that I like, and this is not it. I remember just hating this book for some reason. I'm sorry. I also want to apologize if I am using the wrong pronouns for these people, because I don't know, people may have changed their pronouns, or 2 years ago I still didn't know anyone who used they them pronouns, and now I'm more educated on that. So I'm sorry if I'm like using the wrong pronouns. I'm not sure because I didn't check.
Next we have Nicole at Who Picked This Book, and she says her favorite books are Harry Potter, obviously. Second one is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and then Chill Factor by Sandra Brown.
Obviously, I've read Harry Potter, and between the other two, I remember reading Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Archer's Voice, I remember enjoying that book. It was a 3 stars. Obviously not a favorite, but it's about this girl who moves to another town for a specific reason, and she moves into another town. She sees this guy who is very intimidating. He doesn't talk to other people. He's very lonely, and we discover that he is mute. So it's a romance, and we discover secrets and such. And yeah, not a favorite, but it was a 3 star. It was enjoyable.
Next, we have Kathy at Kathy Tridhart. I hope I said that right. And she says that her favorite book is Words in Deep Blue by Kathy Crowley.
This is my most recent read. I read this one, I actually started this one in 2020, I think, but I completed it in March. And I talk about it in my wrap-up. Not a favorite. It was enjoyable though. I think I gave it 3 stars, 3.5. I don't remember, but it's just a cute story, a cute book about books. Because it talks about this teenager who has a family who owns a secondhand bookstore which is about to get sold, because you know, secondhand bookstores aren't very successful nowadays. So it's about that. It's also about a girl, Rachel, I think, whose brother dies, and she's grieving. I enjoyed it, but it's not a favorite book. Again, it's set in Australia, so that was great. I want to read more books set outside the US.
Next we have With Cinnamon Please at Mary Among Books, and she says that her favorite book is Pride and Prejudice, and I've read this book I think a year or 2 ago. I give it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I need to reread it, and I need to watch an adaptation.
I watched the adaptation, the 2005 one. I have to watch the miniseries yet, but I loved it. I need to reread Pride and Prejudice. And yeah, Mary when her channel was called With Cinnamon Please, so this is so long ago. This video, I filmed it so long ago.
Next we have at Court the Bun, and she says that her favorite book is Shadow and Bone by...
The series of the moment, Shadow and Bone, I obviously read it. I read the trilogy. Not my favorite trilogy at all, but I'm currently watching the show, and I have to say that I'm loving it. I still have to finish the 7th episode and watch the last one, the 8th, but more thoughts on that in a few days. I am really enjoying that. I am currently reading Mr. Six of Crows here, and that's a superior duology, I have to say. I am loving it. Who would have thought? But yeah, not a favorite. This may be a favorite though. Stay tuned for my wrap up.
Next we have at Yasmin the Reader, and she tells me that her favorite book is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman.
I completely understand why that is a favorite of a lot of people. I have it on my shelf right over there. I read this a long time ago, so I do need to reread this one because I think that upon reread I might enjoy it more. I remember it being about these teenagers who study a lot and they are obsessed in getting into good schools, and then one of them has a podcast. Yeah, and it's about mental health, I believe, too. I'm sorry if it's not. As I said, I need to reread this book, but right now I don't feel like saying it's a favorite, but I do need to reread it. So I'll update you on that.
I have Trisha Loves BKS books. Trisha Loves Books, and she says that her favorite book is Pride and Prejudice. I already said I read it. The Stand by Stephen King. Oh my god. Okay, so I do not know the plot of...
Okay, from that tweet I read Nevernight. I already talked about that. But I want to mention that I am planning on reading The Stand. That is a huge book. But I have read Carrie by Stephen King. I want to read in chronological order, like in publication date order, his books. And I have read Carrie, his first book. I need to read Salem's Lot, and then The Shining, and so on and so forth. I think The Stand is like either right after The Shining or 2 books after that. But I am planning on reading that eventually.
Next we have at Gabrielle7013, and she says that her favorite books are Harry Potter, Nevernight. Again, I need to read this book.
Okay, Harry Potter, read it, love it, whatever. And Nevernight, talked about it.
We have Books Brandywine. She says that her favorite book is Ruins of Gorlin by John Flanagan, The Green Rider by Kristen Britton, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So
I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. It's not a favorite because not a lot of nonfiction are my favorites. I think no nonfiction is my favorite. I haven't read much though. I have a few on my shelves that I want to read. It's very, very excellent book. Obviously, I didn't rate it because it's her life. I don't feel like rating certain books. It depends. I don't really know on what it depends, but I decided not to rate I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, but it is a very good book. I wouldn't say it's a favorite, but I completely understand why it would be. It's excellent.
Then we have Lori Dawson, and she says that her favorite book is a series, which first book is called Moon Called by Patricia Briggs.
I read it. I read Moon Called, and I don't think I will continue on with the series. First of all, because I think it's a very long series, so I don't feel like continuing on because I wasn't a huge fan of the first book. I don't remember much about the plot, I have to admit, but I think it was like a 3-star. So yeah, I understand. It has those like earlier YA vibes that have a very nostalgic feel. It's about werewolves and vampires, but yeah, not a favorite, and I'm not going to continue on with that because I have a lot of other books that I want to read.
Then we have Nicole at Beautiful Chaos, and she says that her favorite book is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine.
I have read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, and as I said for a few other books, if I reread this one, it might become a favorite. Might. But I'm not sure because the main character is very unlikable. But I remember really enjoying the main friendship. between the main character and the other guy. I just remember really enjoying the friendship. It wasn't romantic, but I like a good friendship in a book. And yeah, it's about mental health, depression, and what happened to her in the past. I also vaguely remember her being obsessed with someone in a band, so I don't know. I have to reread this one, but I'm gonna say no, it's not a favorite.
Lastly, we have at Bookish Ginger, and she tells me that her favorite book is The Clan of the Cave Bear by John M. Awell.
It's probably Jean and not John, Serena. Anyway, I enjoyed this one. I remember enjoying this one. I read it 2 years ago, so I don't remember every detail of the book. It is a series. I want to continue on with this because it had a very interesting setting. It is set in prehistorical times, so with Homo sapiens and the other species like the Neanderthal species. And I remember being really interested in the setting, and it's about, I think, this Homo sapiens girl who is born in this clan of Neanderthals, and they see this girl as ugly because she's different from them, and it's about her growing up in this clan. And I think the other books is about her life going on, you know, she becoming an adult and other things. So I remember just being very interested in the setting because I've never read anything like that, you know, and I want to continue on. I'm not going to say it's a favorite yet. If I continue on with the series, maybe. But yeah, those are all the books that I read for this 2-part thing that is 2 years too late. But I finally completed it. I have read a book for every tweet, so that's good. And out of these books, the winner is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. But as I said, I need to reread this one, but I think it might be a favorite. And yeah, tell me what is your favorite book, or top 3, top 5, if you don't have one favorite book, down below. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!